Good evening to you. The train drivers' union ASLEF has announced it's to suspend industrial action on Southern Railway ahead of fresh talks tomorrow. Now, the drivers were planning to walk out for 3 days next week in the seemingly endless row over who should close train doors. The move's been welcomed by the Department for Transport, but what did long-suffering commuters have to say?
They sort it out and get things back to normal so people can get about their daily business.
Just need to stop all this because it's causing people to lose their jobs.
They need to sort it out. It's terrible. It's been going on. It affects so many people. I've never known trains be like this in my lifetime.
Missing a train and stuff and being late, I am angry at the people for striking, but I kind of understand where they're coming from at the same time.
Well, my ultimate hope is if they took the contract away from Southern Rail, managed it publicly, it would be the ideal solution. Take it back away from private hands.
Earlier, I spoke to our transport correspondent Mike Pearce and asked him if today's announcement really signalled the end of the dispute.
Well, it's a step in the right direction. There will be talks at the TUC. ASLEF said today to the TUC, would you help out? Went to Southern and said, would you come to talks at the TUC, and both sides have agreed, and the 3-day driver strike got called off next week. The bad news is that the RMT guard strike on Monday that was scheduled remains on, but the RMT says it will go to those talks. I think at the end of the day, it depends who's prepared to move. If no one's prepared to move, then nothing's going to happen.
But Mike, in a strange twist, it's been revealed today, 5 years ago, ASLEF actually supported plans to introduce driver-only trains.
Indeed, there have been some leaked documents today. This is it in today's edition of Rail magazine, where they have a letter signed by the current General Secretary of ASLEF that agreed to this change on the Thameslink trains that run to Brighton. That's 12-carriage trains. He's been saying recently trains were longer, more people were using them, and that's why they didn't want this introduced. But it now appears that they actually did agree to it some 5 years ago.
You're talking about passengers, long-suffering passengers have been making their feelings known today, haven't they?
Yeah, in the latest protest today, flowers were laid at stations. Passengers said it was because of the death of their patients. They're so fed up with this. So I think once again we've seen passengers taking action. I just can't see either side budging. There will be more talks. That's a good sign. As I said, the strike on Monday at the RMT does remain on. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but so far it's come to nothing. I can't really say it's going to end in a hurry.
Mike Pearce. In other news, the coroner's ruled that a soldier from Sussex who died in a friendly fire shooting during combat on an Afghan battlefield was not unlawfully killed. 22-year-old Lance Corporal James Brynin was part of a troop carrying out intelligence work when he was killed in October 2013. The inquest in Arundel heard that after coming under enemy attack, fellow soldier Lance Corporal Mark Kelly fired in the wrong direction, hitting Lance Corporal Brynin. Police investigating a crash which killed a lorry driver in Sussex are appealing for witnesses. The vehicle crashed through a central reservation on the A27 yesterday. The road was closed in both directions between the Fishbourne roundabout in Chichester and the Emsworth Junction in Emsworth. Well, their job is to make sure parents and children from the school gates safely, but often they're verbally abused and even driven at by angry motorists. Well, now school crossing patrol staff in Sussex are to be given body cameras to capture threatening behaviour and dangerous driving, as Malcolm Shaw reports.
Okay.
Going home time at Harlands Primary School in Haywards Heath. Beverly Morley has been the crossing patrol person for the last 3 years, but increasingly she's been targeted, both verbally and physically, by passing motorists who won't slow down or stop.
People drive through me, they drive past me, they skim the side of my coat, they will stop just behind me, give me no room, and give the children no room as well. Verbally abusive. I've had several people drive at me on the wrong side of the road. They just don't want to stop. They're too busy, they don't want to stop.
Now Beverly is armed with a new weapon to tackle dangerous driving and abuse. She's wearing a body cam, which records audio and video. Harlands is the second school in Sussex to get a camera after a successful pilot project at another primary.
The patrol there has actually reduced speeding by just pointing to the camera. Simply by doing something as simple as that, it brings people, oh gosh, what's going on? Cars have slowed down. He's had far less abuse from that site from what he did have. And all in all, everybody is safer. The children feel safer. The whole community feels safer.
Warning signs have been put up on roads around the school to alert approaching motorists that their actions will be caught on camera, an important deterrent. It's against the law to drive past a school patrol officer when they're standing in the road. If you do, you face a fine and 3 points on your licence, the same as if you'd driven through a red light. The school itself has paid for the body cam, which costs £200. Parents think it's money well spent.
We do have quite a few problems, and she puts her life at risk sometimes standing in the middle of the road, so I think it's a great idea for the safety of the children.
People use this as a rat run. It's not fair on the children or Mrs. Morley herself, so yeah, it's good.
This lady is our hero and she should be seriously protected, obviously, yes.
Police officers routinely wear body cams, the footage helping to convict offenders. Now crossing patrol staff can also gather vital evidence to be used against drivers who put lives at risk outside the school gates. Malcolm Shaw, ITV News, Haywards Heath.
It was as big as a cat, the largest rat pest control officer Terry Walker has seen in 20 years, and it's led to fears of a winter invasion by poison-resistant super rats. The animal was trapped in sandbanks in Dorset, as Richard Slee reports.
This is Max, an 18-month-old Manchester Terrier cross pincher and an expert rat catcher. His latest prey was this huge 19-inch rat caught in pool.
Max, where's the rats?
His owner, Terry Walker, shows me how he gives Max the instruction to hunt down the rodents.
That's all he needs. That's all he needs. So, and the thing that made this one different was that when he came back, I couldn't see much of my dog really. 19 inches is a very, very big rat, but it was the sheer weight of it. It was absolutely huge. And it just, while Max had hold of it, it just absolutely dwarfed him.
Terry says he sees more rats at this time of year because they're scavenging for food.
Some of the properties that I visit, they've got maybe half a dozen to a dozen bird feeders out, and quite often you can see the rats sat on top of the bird table.
We've all got to be careful about leaving waste food out. Restaurants, households, overfeeding birds, overfeeding your chickens if you keep them in your back garden. But if you do have rats, it's probably better to call out a professional pest controller rather than trying to tackle them yourselves, because certainly in the South Coast area, the poisons that the general public have got access to won't work.
Rat-catching dogs were a common sight many years ago. Now Max is a rarity, but in his short career so far, he's killed hundreds of rats.
Do you think he enjoys it? Oh, I know he enjoys it. Yeah, he absolutely loves it.
And with poison being less effective these days, Max is becoming a very busy boy. Richard Slee, ITV News, Poole.
The Red Funnel Ferry Company looks likely to be granted conditional permission for its controversial plan to develop their terminal at East Cowes on the Isle of Wight. Planning officials are recommending approval. The scheme has been at the centre of angry protest. Finally tonight, a woman from Brighton has been caught up in a Twitter blunder by Donald Trump. The president-elect mistakenly sent a tweet praising his daughter Ivanka to a researcher with the same name at Brighton and Hove City Council.
I've had the @Ivanka handle for quite a long time, but it's my name. All the way through the election I've been tweeted, and I did during the election have a Twitter bot encouraging people to vote for Hillary. It's also quite amusing because I'm getting all this attention, and yet my politics couldn't be further from Donald Trump's.
Let's see if Simon Parkin can trump that. Here's his weather forecast.
From sleet to the slopes, driving through Europe. Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Good evening, and yes, it is one of those bed socks at the ready kind of nights tonight because it's very nippy out, and that'll lead to a widespread frost to wake up to tomorrow morning. But a decent day, plenty of sunshine around, although the cloud will slowly increase as the day goes on. That's because we've got a weak weather front sitting just to the north of us, and through tomorrow it's going to sink slowly southwards and eastwards. That said, it's not going to spoil anything. We're in for a settled day, and there will be plenty of sunshine at first, largely due to the very clear skies skies we've got overnight, and that's why we've got that widespread and very hard frost tonight. Temperatures down to around -4, -5 in some rural spots. It's just further west where there's a little bit more cloud that temperatures might just be above freezing for the bulk of the night. But as well as the frost tomorrow morning, could be a bit of patchy mist in places too, and it will be a largely decent start. Again to the further west, that's where we see perhaps a bit of cloud. Elsewhere, some decent sunshine. That weather front continues to sink slowly southwards through the day, but the temperatures are still going to struggle. We're lucky if we get above 3, 4, maybe 5 degrees, although the winds will stay light, and that means another chilly night tomorrow.
Eurotunnel the Shuttle sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Thank you, Simon. My bed socks are at the ready. That's the way we're looking this evening. We're back during Good Morning Britain from 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Join us for that if you can. But from the late team for now, it's good night. Sleep well. Join us again soon. Bye-bye.